so much. Yes, so I'm just going to give you a very few insights on how we can start designing efficient energy behaviors. Because here is the thing. When wanting to change human behavior, we often assume that it's a matter of providing the right knowledge and motivation. And it is actually not. The reason for that is to be found in the human brain. Because basically, we got to start changing the way we view ourselves and each other. Because we got to realize that we are a lot more like Homer Simpson. And we really are. The slides are sort of, okay, here we go. Great. So, my reason for saying that is that we got to understand that human behavior is basically driven by two systems. The reflective system, which in this image is the blue bit, and the automatic system, which in this image is the yellow bit. So reflective thinking is conscious thinking. That is what allows us to translate motivation and knowledge into something that makes sense and understanding, and essentially behavior change. Reflective thinking is what makes us the superior species on this planet. That is what allows us to build spaceships. It is what allows us to develop solar panels and so forth. So it's a very good thing to have. But there's a downside to reflective thinking. Because reflective thinking is very effortful, meaning that our blood sugar actually drops when we're being reflective. That's why it's really hard for us to focus for a long time. That is why we are by default set to be automatic thinkers. And automatic thinking or automatic behavior is something completely different. Automatic behavior is not driven by motivational knowledge. It is driven by our instincts and immediate interventions in the moment of choice, so our surroundings and so forth. This means that 90% of human behavior is driven by what I call choice architecture. And let me just elaborate on choice architecture. So choice architecture is everything that surrounds our decision making. Everything from services, products, surroundings, or systems that we interact with in the moment of choice. So when designing efficient energy behavior, it is really a matter of designing choice architecture that works with automatic thinking. That means we got to start applying behavioral insights to our existing choice architecture and make small improvements. Today I'm going to introduce you to two basic behavioral insights that we can use when designing great choice architecture. Those two are visual directions or visual feedback and social proof. But let me start with introducing you to visual directions. So basically, automatic behavior works very well with visual cues. And I'm not going to be standing here telling you how it works. I would rather show it to you. So now we're going to do a small exercise, okay? On your iPads, in a second, I'm going to show you a slide. But before that, I would like you all to raise your finger like this. Okay? So now it's going to be tricky, because you need to hold up your iPad with the other hand like this. So you got to look at your iPad. Because now, in a second, I'm going to change the slide, and then you have to point in the direction the slide says. Okay? So everybody look at the iPad, you guys look at the monitors, and then I'm changing the slide, point in the direction the slide says, and do it really quick, okay? That was... Did you feel what happened here? Thank you. So basically what happens is our automatic thinking reacts intuitively to visual cues and visual directions. And what happens is, all of a sudden, our reflective thinking kicks in and goes, hey, wait a minute, there are two contradicting messages here. So we start analyzing the message in this slide. we always gotta start out by addressing behavior with visual directions. Last year, we did a small study for the Danish railway company. They asked us to reduce the amount of litter and especially cigarette butts being left around station areas in Denmark. So we did a study, and what we did was we started out by looking at the existing choice architecture. And what we found was that in this case, all the signage was using wordings and words and letters telling people what not to do. Don't smoke here, don't litter here, and so forth. So we took that choice architecture away and we introduced visual directions instead. And in that case, it was yellow lines showing people where to smoke, where to leave their litter. So basically a very, very small intervention. We tested the effect. And the amount of cigarette butts being left on railway premises went down by 30%, improving the environmental impact, but also increasing customer satisfaction and providing the railway company with evidence-based strategies on how to improve litter behavior on a national basis. So the last behavioral insight I'm going to provide you with today is social proof. And that is one of the most important ones we can use when improving behavior. Basically, we are pack animals, so we copy each other to fit in. And we can use that as an engine. The case I want to show you is a case done by a utility company called O-Power. They use the electricity bill and our pack mentality to improve human behavior. So here's what they did. They added a small visualization onto the electrical bill, showing people how much energy they were consuming compared to their neighbors. And then adding a smiley, showing them how well they were doing compared to the community they live in. So a tiny little change in layout on an electrical bill. This small intervention made the energy consumption go down by 2%. Or electricity consumption, sorry, I know there is a difference. So 2% might not sound as a lot, but O-Power provides electricity to 6 different countries, including the US. So 2% is actually quite a lot. So to sum up really quickly, to me the most important thing that we gotta start working with when wanting to ensure efficient energy behaviors is moving from focusing only on motivation and knowledge to redesign our choice architecture. Figure out what tiny little changes can we make in existing initiatives, services, products, and so forth that will help people be successful and lead greener lives. And that's it for me.